Welcome in, everybody, to FTN's Super Wildcard Weekend Prize Picks Prop Show. I'm your girl, Lauren Carpenter. You can find me on social media at Stepmom Lauren, and we've made it through the fantasy football season, and we are officially now in the NFL playoffs, and we have an awesome slate of games coming up this weekend called the Super Wildcard Weekend. Hence, that's why we're here. And as always, this show is brought to you by PrizePicks. So head on over to prizepicks.com, use the promo code FTN, and you get your first deposit of up to $100 matched. It's free money, everybody. Promo code FTN, just like our network here. First deposit up to $100 matched. It's free money. And PrizePicks is super easy to use. It's super easy to play. All you do is look at player props, player statistics, and you're going to decide whether or not you want to go over, under, more, or less than that player's stats. For example, rushing yards, receiving yards, passing yards, combined of all three. So many different options over at prizepicks.com. And it's not just for the NFL. We have them for tons of different sports. Remember, prizepicks.com, promo code FTN, you get your first deposit of up to $100 matched. And then once you're done making those picks on PrizePicks, head on over to ftndaily.com. We have a free Prize Picks tracker tool. All you have to do is put your picks in there, and then you can follow along. It's super easy. It's free to use. You can also see how we're doing over at FTN because our analysts over there, including myself, we put in our own bets, our own picks, and then we grade them once we're done with that weekend, which I will be doing at the end of Super Wildcard Weekend once I give you 4 of my favorite picks heading into the Super Wildcard Weekend. We also have a free PrizePicks Discord channel. It's a little chat bubble that's up at the top of the website. That's also free to use. You can chat about your picks. You can get some ideas. Maybe you missed something. I do that every once in a while. I see something. I'm like, how did I miss that? Only because you get to chat. And it's free, super fun to use. We also have some other amazing tools over there from all of our analysts that do such hard work putting together those things just for you. For example, we've got Jeff Ratcliffe's projections. We have NFL Edge. That is really cool. And as I mentioned, the fantasy football season is over, but that doesn't mean that fantasy football is over. We have an entire section dedicated to DFS forecasting. So go ahead, make some DFS lineups and use those tools. They are awesome. They are full of insight and information. And even better, you get 20% off any package over at FTN. In our family of websites, we have FTN Daily, FTN Fantasy, FTNBets.com. If you use my promo code, which is SML, that's short for Stepmom Lauren, you get 20% off any package. And again, it's not just for the NFL, it's for any sports, basketball, baseball. You got it. It's there. Promo code SML over at our FTN family of websites, and then promo code FTN on prizepicks.com to get your first deposit of up to $100 matched. But let's get right into it. As I mentioned, I have 4 picks that I really liked heading into this weekend slate of games. And the very first one I'm going to pick out is Leonard Fournette. I was really curious about this line, and I hope it hasn't changed or doesn't change by the time you get done watching or listening to this video, because this was pretty juicy for me. His rushing yards are at 36 and a half. I'm going over. Now, they're playing the Dallas Cowboys, and one of the ways that you can beat the Dallas Cowboys is on the ground. They've been a little bit better against their run defense as of late, but they still can be exploited. Now, the Cowboys have averaged around 100 rushing yards to opposing offenses per game so far this season. And Leonard Fournette has eclipsed 37 rushing yards. Remember, his line is at 36 and a half, so he has to get 37 in order to win that. He has eclipsed 37 rushing yards in 4 of his last 6 games, even despite not being the, quote, line from scrimmage back. Leonard Fournette is heavily involved in the receiving game, which is one of the reasons we love him for his combined passing and rushing. But I'm not looking at that one because the line at just 36 and a half rushing yards is pretty juicy for me. I think he can go over that, especially with as many yards on the ground that the Cowboys are allowing to opposing offenses, and that includes the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I'm going over on Leonard Fournette on 36 and a half rushing yards. My next one, I'm heading over to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm going to pick on Travis Etienne. Now, Travis Etienne is another one of those backs who can be used not only from the line of scrimmage, but he can also be used in the receiving game as well. So I'm going to take a look at his receiving yards for Travis Etienne. Remember, this is just receiving yards, not combined, not rushing, just his receiving yards. And his line is set at 15 and a half receiving yards. This one is a smash over for me. I really like this one. They're playing the Chargers, who are very, very weak against the running back. So I do believe that his rushing yards are also going to be pretty astronomical, but I loved the 15 and a half because that is low enough for me. All he has to do is get maybe a handful, not even, maybe 2 or 3 different passes from our boy, Trevor Lawrence. Sorry, I almost called him Justin Herbert because they're playing the Chargers. From our boy Trevor Lawrence in order to eclipse 15 and a half. That is very easy for him to do. And the Chargers are allowing 24 plus yards receiving to running backs per game so far this season. So I really like that one on Travis Etienne. Again, that is the over on 15 and a half receiving yards for Travis Etienne. Now I'm going to head over to the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins, and I'm going to stick with the Buffalo Bills on this one. The first one I'm going to bring up is tight end Dawson Knox. I like this one. Again, I'm sticking with his receiving yards here. This is I don't want to call it super juicy, but it's one that really stuck out to me because his line is only at 32 and a half. Now that may sound a little bit high, especially for a tight end, and especially with Dawson Knox, who has been kind of hit or miss. However, the last time that they played the Miami Dolphins, he had 98 receiving yards, and that was just a few weeks ago. So Miami Dolphins are actually kind of weak against the tight end position, not so much like the Arizona Cardinals and the Tennessee Titans that we really like to exploit, for example, in redraft fantasy, our normal fantasy. But for this, we only need 33 receiving yards from Dawson Knox, and the Dolphins are allowing an average of 54 receiving yards to tight ends per game so far this season. And again, Dawson Knox had 98 receiving yards in, I believe it was week 14. It was a couple weeks ago when they played the Miami Dolphins. So I really like that one for Dawson Knox. Again, just a quick recap, that is over on 32 and a half receiving yards for tight end Dawson Knox of the Buffalo Bills. Sticking with the Buffalo Bills, if Dawson Knox is going to be getting these receiving yards, someone's going to have to be throwing them to him, and that is Josh Allen. And I'm taking a look at his passing plus receiving yards. So total yards for Josh Allen, and it is set at 303 and a half. Now that sounds high, kind of feels a little like, ooh, maybe I should stay away from that line. However, as I mentioned, the Bills and the Dolphins recently played, and the last time Josh Allen played the Miami Dolphins alone in his passing game, he had 304. Sorry, I had to check my notes there just to make sure I wasn't lying to you. Yes, passing alone, he had 304 passing yards against the Miami Dolphins, and he also added a staggering 77 rushing yards. That's like almost 400 yards total through the air, and on the ground, it's actually 381. I hope that's right. I'm terrible at math, but I think he's going to be okay. So a line at 303 and a half on his combined passing and rushing yards for Josh Allen is another smash over for me in that game against the Miami Dolphins. There is a slight worry that I do have when it comes to game script because the Dolphins are having a situation at quarterback here. Tua Tagovailoa has been ruled out. As of right now, we kind of up in the air whether or not it's going to be Teddy Bridgewater or Skylar Thompson, so you might want to double check that. Either way, it's not going to be nearly as explosive. So the Bills are going to want to get up early, they're going to get up fast, and they want to get up by a lot so that they can just take care of this game and move on to the next round. However, one of the things that the Buffalo Bill doesn't do is they don't give up. They're not going to let off the gas. They haven't done that so far this season. When they get ahead, they just keep getting further and further and further ahead. So even though this could be a heavily, heavily favored point score when it comes to the Buffalo Bills, I still believe that Josh Allen can get a total amount of yards that's over 303 and a half. That is his combined passing and rushing yards. So just real quick, let me run through those one more time. We have Leonard Fournette over 36 and a half rushing yards. I have Travis Etienne at over 15 and a half receiving yards. I also have tight end Dawson Knox over 32 and a half receiving yards. And finally, Josh Allen, as I just talked about, over 303 and a half combined passing and rushing yards. And there you go. Those are my 4 favorite picks I have over on PrizePicks.com for this weekend super wild card weekend slate of games. Remember, head on over to prizepicks.com, use our promo code FTN to get your first deposit of up to $100 matched. Play around on our family of websites. Go look at some really cool tools. Check out our DFS stuff we have over there. Use my promo code SML to get your package, any package that you want, 20% off with promo code SML. Helps me out, helps you out. And good luck, everybody. Let me know how these picks go. Enter them into our FTNdaily.com free pick tracker tool. Keep up with us because those 4, I'm putting them in for me on our website so you can follow along and see how well I do. Good luck, everybody. Have a good one.